Okay, for this session, what we're about to do is to solve quadratic equations. One of the beautiful things about quadratic equation is that we already know that we'll be getting two responses. And we know that because the power of the variable x, or depending on the variable you're using, the highest power would be to the number 2. That means we'll be getting two responses, whether it's 2 negative, 2 positive, or a negative and a positive. We'll see what goes on. One way of solving quadratic is by factorizing, and another way is by using the formula. We are focusing on solving quadratic equations now by using factorization method. Let's look at question 1. Question 1, we have x squared plus 7x plus 12 equal 0. Now for this, we quickly evaluate to see if we can factorize. You would have already learned how to factorize, and depending on the skill that you have. To factor this, we have an x, we have an x, we have a plus 3 and a plus 4. Alright, so basically the factors of this will be x plus 3, x plus 4. Because factorization would be something that you would have done before you try to do this. So here we have the factors. Now what this is really saying is, if these are the factors where this multiplied by this to give a 0, then you would realize that one of these must be a 0, such that you multiply them and you get a 0. But we don't know which one will be the 0. So a logical conclusion would be to say, well, either x plus 3 is a 0, or x plus 4 is a 0. Alright, so at this time we'd conclude that either this is the 0 or that is a 0. In whichever case we have, we can now simplify this and solve it now, should say. So it's going to be x plus 3 minus 3 minus 3. So x is equal to negative 3. Or x plus 4 minus 4 equal to 0 minus 4. X is equal to minus 4. Our two answers are x equal to negative 3 or x is equal to negative 4. So there it is. We have just used the factor form to solve that quadratic there. And these are our two responses, our final answer. X is equal to negative 3 or x is equal to negative 4. Now let us look at question 2. Now in question 2, we have x squared is equal to negative 3x. One of the mistakes that people make is that they'll divide throughout by x. So in dividing throughout by x, they'll end up getting x is equal to negative 3. And this is not necessarily wrong, it is just incomplete. So never try to divide throughout by a variable, because you are going to cancel one of the responses. So that's not the way we're going to take it. What we're going to do is to gather everything on one side and let it equal to 0. So we'll add 3x to both sides. So we'll end up getting x squared plus 3x, which is equal to 0. And I might have said, I don't know if I did say it before, that when we solve in quadratics, we always let them equal to 0 before we solve them. So everything must come on one side, whether it's on the right side or on the left side, and you let it equal to 0 before you solve, okay? So in this case, we have x squared plus 3x equals 0. We have a common factor here called x. So we could now use the highest common factor to factorize. X into x squared, we would have x, and x into positive 3x, we have 3 equals 0. At this time, we could quickly evaluate this. How is it possible that x multiplied by x plus 3 gives us a 0? Well, one of these must be a 0. Well, since we are not certain which one is the 0, then we have to draw a logical conclusion. Either x is equal to 0 or x plus 3 is equal to 0. X plus 3 minus 3, we balance by minus 3 from the other side. X is equal to negative 3. What are my two responses? My two responses are x is equal to 0 or x is equal to negative 3. And there it is, we have our answers. Alright, let's look at another one, because there are various cases in which the questions can present themselves. Let's look at question 3. Question 3 says x plus 1 into 2x minus 5 is already equal to 0. Now, if you get a question like this, there is no need to expand and then try to solve, because it's already in factor form. That means this was already factorized. And we have our two factors multiplying to give 0. I'll draw my conclusion now, because two things multiply to give 0. It's either x plus 1 equals 0 or the 2x minus the 5 is equal to 0. Well, from here, x plus 1 minus 1 is equal to 0 minus 1. X is equal to negative 1. In this case, or 2x minus 5 plus 5 is equal to 0 plus 5. 2x is equal to 5. Divide both sides by 2. Finally, we could say that, okay, x is equal to 5 halves. Well, we could just conclude that x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 5 half. Let me write this a little bit better. All right, good. So that is our third example. Let's look at example number 4 and last. Now, the last one that we want to look at is of a similar fashion, and it says, which is number 4, it says 3x squared minus 7x is equal to 6. Remember, when we're solving the quadratic equations, and we're going to be using our factorizing method, we're going to bring everything on one side to factorize. And of course, there are other methods to solve this, like completing the square and stuff like that, but we're focusing on the factorizing method now. So you could carry everything on one side. We'll subtract 6 from both sides, and from this we will factorize. Well, we could write our factors. We would already learn how to factorize, okay? Already learned how to factorize. So all we have to do is to plug in the values that we have right now and to see what we get. Okay, so we'll have 3x plus 2 and the x minus 3. And then, as you can see, if you should FOIL this out, you would have gotten about that. So here are the factors. Since we have the factors, then we could now use our either or. So either 3x plus 2 is equal to 0, which means that 3x plus 2 minus 2 equal to 0 minus 2. 3x is equal to minus 2. We divide both sides by 3. Then x is equal to minus 3 over 2. Either that is the case, here is my response, or x minus 3 is equal to 0, which means x minus 3 plus 3 is equal to 0 plus 3. X is equal to 3. And here is my second response. Alright, so x is equal to 3, or x is equal to negative 3 half. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.